Hello everyone, and welcome to some excellent science with 4-H virtual embryology. My name is Miss Grace, and I'm one of the 4-H agents here in Florida. Today, we're going to be talking about some egg anatomy, so get ready to participate at home. First off, let's talk about some of the parts of the egg. The first part that most of us are pretty familiar with is the shell. So the shell protects the egg from the outside, and it'll help protect the chick embryo developing inside. The next part that we're also pretty familiar with is the yolk. Now the yolk is that large yellow portion in the center of the egg, and it's full of lots of protein, which is great for the chick embryo. It's also great for people like me who happen to enjoy eggs as a protein source. So surrounding that yolk is a word called the albumin. The albumin we more frequently know of as the egg white. It's also made up of protein, and it surrounds and fills in the rest of the egg. The next portion that we're going to talk about is the chalaza. Now the chalaza most of us aren't as familiar with. The chalaza is also made up of the same type of proteins found in the albumin or the egg white, but it's a little bit thicker, so we can actually see the chalaza. And the chalaza is located on either end of the yolk and helps suspend the yolk and hold it in place inside of the egg so it can't move around. The next word we're going to talk about is the air cell. So the air cell is on the larger, more round end of the egg, and the air cell is found between the membrane, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the shell. So the air cell will start to enlarge actually as the embryo continues to develop, and it will allow the chick, once it's ready, to kind of break through that air cell and get some oxygen so it can get ready to break through its shell. The next word we're going to talk about is the membrane. So the membrane surrounds the inside of the shell, and it comes between the shell and the albumin. Now there's another type of membrane that we'll talk about. It's called the vitelline membrane, and this membrane surrounds the yolk and holds the yolk in place. So now we're actually going to crack open an egg and see if we can identify some of these parts inside. So the egg we have here is not like the eggs that you're currently fertilizing or that you're currently incubating in your virtual embryology project. Those eggs have been fertilized. This egg has not. This is just an egg that comes from the grocery store. So the eggs that we get from the grocery store are very different from the eggs that you might find at a farm that have been exposed to both roosters and hens. Most of the eggs at the grocery store have never been exposed to, the chicken was never exposed to a rooster, so there's no chance of them being fertilized. So let's go ahead and crack this open, and we'll give it a dump here onto the plate. Okay, so let's see if we can identify some of these parts. So first off, we have the shell, and we have the yolk. You can also see the albumin around the yolk. Now you'll notice there's a thicker albumin, and then there's sort of this thin, watery albumin. We talked about the membrane, and you've probably experienced the membrane a lot if you've ever peeled a boiled egg, and it's kind of like that skin that you pull off of your egg. So you may be able to see kind of that membrane holding your shell together there as it starts to come apart. And in the larger, more round end of the shell, we can also see that air cell in there. So that's found in here. And that's, you can see the membrane, and then there's that pocket. That's the air cell. So one of the pieces that's a little, maybe we don't notice quite as much, might be a little harder to identify, is we can see a little bit of it right here, and also a little bit of it coming off over here. But that's the chalaza. So that's that thicker white part that, remember, holds the yolk in place.
Now, we did say that our yolk is surrounded by another type of membrane, the vitelline membrane, and that's what keeps the yolk all together. However, if we were to puncture the vitelline membrane, then some of our yolk is going to start to pour out. So it's kind of like a thinner skin, kind of like that membrane that's inside of the shell as well. So those are the parts of the egg, and now it's your turn. So at home, go ahead and crack open an egg and see if you can identify those parts. We'll see you tomorrow.